Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Caffeine. I'm David Sherry. I'm a coach to founders and creators. And in these episodes, I break down short little snippets from conversations with clients and the people that I work with to give you a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a caffeine hit. And today I want to talk about the difference between transacting and building relationships. When we are starting out, we get really almost, I'd say, indoctrinated in this idea of building products, right? And building products is all about testing efficacy of new features in a roadmap. It's about interviewing your customers. It's about figuring out how to shift one little thing in the product just to improve data, just to optimize for performance, to convert, to sell. And this mindset of productization and packaging and personal branding, these types of ideas, they lead us down this path of always thinking that we need to have some type of strategy, some type of angle that's going to allow us to convince somebody to buy from us, to follow, us, to subscribe, to whatever the call to action might be for your business or for the project you're in. We're constantly thinking about how do we package ourselves in a way that people will receive that and purchase. However, my feeling is that this is a very short-term mindset. Products, they, develop and they come and go, and product lines come and go. But if you think about relationships with other people, that's something that you can really build on for a large amount of time, for, many years, the course of many years. And in work and in our career, we might think that if we can just package ourselves perfectly, that's how we're going to grow to the next level. If we can just brand ourselves the right way, if we can just find the copy that converts, the pitch of ourselves that converts, that is how we believe we will find success and grow in our careers. However, I've found that every time I try and package myself in that way, and every time I have this sort of motive in a conversation where I'm meeting somebody new, maybe I'm meeting with a new potential client, maybe I'm introduced to somebody through a network and we're having our first conversation. If I go into that conversation with a bunch of expectations and almost like a script in my head that I'm looking to achieve, I'm looking to, create the specific outcome with the other person, I find that people sort of pick up on that and it ends up ruining the magic of the opportunity to actually connect with somebody and build a relationship. And if I can just relax in that meeting and not have expectations and not have a big agenda, but instead listen and receive and hear what it is that they are really thinking about or hoping for, what problems they're facing, what they're looking to achieve, maybe even some stuff about their personal life, how they're feeling, how this last year's been. If I approach things from that direction and I don't go in with some type of agenda, I find that what gets communicated is better than any type of communication I could have pre-planned before the conversation. And so my hope is that if you're listening to this, you can think about the difference between transactional conversations and relational conversations. And, the classic story is the car salesman where you go and you're looking to buy a car, and that's a very transactional relationship, and obviously the context of that is a bit transactional in nature, but we know the feeling of being sold to. We know the feeling when someone knocks on our door and tries to sell us. We also know the feeling of connecting with a new friend, meeting a new acquaintance, actually having a very genuine conversation with somebody. Maybe it was at a conference, you happen to sit next to someone, you happen to have some things in common, you started building a relationship, and the amount of opportunities that have come out of this longer term relational way of interacting with people has massively, outcompeted anything I could have done pre-planned and pre-packaged. And so when I focus on the transaction, I'm really narrowing the scope of what's possible for myself in this new relationship that I'm just starting or just having a conversation with. And if I stay open and without expectations, I find that the opportunity set widens drastically. The amount of things that can happen between us in that relationship over the long run of knowing each other continues to widen. And so, of course, there's a middle ground here. Of course, we want to be a bit savvy. We want to understand how to talk about what we do with other people in a clear way that they can understand. But we also don't want to push people away by defining this narrow focus and trying to put people through this very specific slide, this very specific way of you interacting with them, which is looking for a transaction, which is looking for a specific outcome. So I'm curious, in your next meetings this week, in conversations you're having, when you meet new people, are you showing up in a way that is transactional, where you're seeking an outcome? Or are you showing up in a way where you're open to seeing how things unfold, where you're thinking to yourself, I might actually know this person for months, years at a time, and what is possible if I build a strong foundation of connection, of mutual connection, instead of trying to transact this minute? And so that's what you can think about today. The last thing I'll say is it makes me think about actually Gary Vaynerchuk, which is a very strange person to think about in this type of conversation. But I think he gets this. I think he knows that he's playing the long game, that he wants to give to people before he asks for something in exchange. And if you know that the journey is long, I think you're more likely to approach a new conversation with this open mind. So let me know how that goes for you. Let me know what you think about this idea of being transactional versus being relational, versus connecting with somebody versus trying to achieve some type of outcome. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. Leave a comment. I would love to speak with you in the comment section. You can always reach out. My email is also available through my website, which is linked. And if you enjoy the daily caffeine that I'm producing, please subscribe and like and all of that. So be back again very soon. Thanks. Later.